Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you. So here we go again, another Choctaw. In this case, it's the 3 3/4 inch long one versus the 4.5 inch long one. I've already done a review of the 4.5 inch long Choctaw. It was the first one I bought. I was intrigued by the pattern, was kind of curious about it, and so I went ahead and bought one of them, and I picked it up in cobra skin, expecting to kind of like the cobra skin. I wasn't too crazy about it because as you can tell, this is one side and this is the other side, totally mismatched. Someone mentioned that this is probably the belly of the snake and this is the top side of the snake. And so that was kind of cool. A lot of people thought it was pretty cool that it was mismatched. And maybe there is some point to that, but if that is the case, I would have rather had the backside on the front and the belly on the back. But that be the case, I can kind of handle that. I do know one thing: I am going to keep the knife because I am still intrigued by the pattern, and it is an interesting lockback knife. One of the things about it is it does lock up pretty well. The build of it overall was just so as far as I was concerned, but then again, it is only a $20 or actually I think a $22 knife, so it wasn't really expensive. More expensive than a Rough Rider, but and not built quite as well as a Rough Rider. But then this is the only company, Steel Warrior is the only company that is making the Choctaw. So I decided to go ahead and pick up one that was in the original size, which was the 3 3/4 inch, and I thought I would pick up the knife in a handle material that I have other knives in, so I might be a little more pleased with it, because I've never had anything in cobra skin, so I decided, what the heck, I will go ahead and pick up the one in white pearl. And now to clarify, this is white mother of pearl under a layer of resin, so under a layer of acrylic. It is not solid white mother of pearl, and you can even pick it up here in the camera that it is not a solid piece of mother of pearl. It is actually pearl that has been sectioned together and then laid underneath the resin, and that is the case on both sides of the knife. Actually, the back side looks to be a more solid piece of mother of pearl than the front side. Once again, I kind of like the back side better than the front side. And I don't understand what their thinking is at Steel Warriors or Jim Frost and Company, why they would make the backside piece of pearl look better than the front side. But in any case, that is what has happened once again on their knife. And again, you can definitely catch your finger on the transition from bolster into the handle material. It's smoother on the back. The front side is built worse than the back side. I don't get that part. But the pins, they're nice and smooth, and the Steel Warrior shield is well set in there. I'm sure it is just glued in place, so it can easily pop off. If you try, if you really work at it, you can pop that thing off. Throw it through the washer and dryer, it'll probably come off. Don't throw your knife through the washer and dryer. That would happen with many a knives. The knife blade is decent, 448 stainless steel. There is really, I mean, if I try real hard, I guess I could get it to wobble, but really, there's no wobble in the blade. Nice length for that knife. Let's see, the blade is about 2 3/4 inches long, so definitely legal almost anywhere. The cutting edge, about 2 1/4 inches, so not too bad there either. So and there it is, 440 stainless steel. Yeah, it did have the annoying sticker, and they went ahead and did that Rockwell test right there to tell you that it is definitely 56 through 58. another meaningless thing as far as I'm concerned, but it's a big selling point for them, and they use it. The nickel silver bolsters are all right. The brass liners are okay. Very strong lock on it. Good snap, opening and closing. I mean, functionality wise, it's pretty decent. I do have an issue, like I mentioned, with the handles not fitting as well as they should, especially considering this is just a resin coating over the mother of pearl. Now, let me close this real quick. And if you can see there, notice that mother of pearl. Do you see the line right there? And the line right there, and then the line going up there. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know why they sectioned it like that. And here's a Rough Rider black lip mother of pearl. You don't see any sectioning in it. Yeah, it's once again it's resin coated, but if you notice, you really can't tell that it's resin coated, but it is. I mean, and the pins are not showing, so you don't see the pins sticking through the material. So chances are it is just glued in place, but the transition is much better. So that's what I'm talking about. Notice the difference. I know black lip mother of pearl looks better than white mother of pearl also, but that's beside the point. You don't see any of those sectioning lines. And if you look on the back here, again, there's no lines in there, which I know I'm harping on that, and we're talking about a knife that was $20. Mother of pearl, $20. I mean, and that was shipped, so it wasn't an expensive knife. So I can definitely live with the minor differences in there, the minor problems with it, but they could have done a little bit better, and I would have paid even more for it. That's I guess that's my point. If they would have had a better quality pearl in there, I wouldn't have mind paying, $5, $10 more for the knife, because it is really an interesting pattern. As for the size, 3 3/4 inches versus 4.5 inches, how does that actually feel in the hand? Well, that's another question for me. As you can see, the handle is much smaller. You can't get all the fingers on there if you're all the way back there. I mean, I guess you can. I don't have the world's largest hand. But actually, it's good enough grip, and it feels relatively comfortable for the length of the handle. It's about the same length as what you have on a canoe. I think in this case, I would have rather them left out the little finger choil there. I don't think it's necessary. But I mean, that is part of the design feature. I think the finger choil, let me get this off, feels better in the larger knife, and it feels more comfortable in the larger knife. You can choke up on the larger knife like so, and quite frankly, you can actually choke up on this one in the same manner, and I actually do feel relatively comfortable doing that. It's not at first I was thinking I'm going to slide up onto there, but once you put your hand in place, it actually is comfortable. I guess you could try and round that off, but I wouldn't even bother. It does actually feel good enough if you're doing that. If you want to feel more safe, and if you're actually doing something more difficult or pushing forward with it, I would definitely put my hand behind there and feel more comfortable there. But it does just kind of fall into place there, and really it's comfortable enough even at 3 3/4 inches long. So really a toss-up between the two, which would be more comfortable to hold. Obviously this one's a little larger, so you'd be able to do more with it, and also you get a much better purchase on the knife because it has a larger handle. Will I be buying more Choctaws? Probably not. And it's mainly because I've got a couple in the pattern. I was interested in the pattern. I wanted a couple in the collection simply because of the pattern being kind of unique, and even the fact that it was Steel Warrior was not enough to put me off from that. I've got other Steel Warriors because no one else makes them, so really don't have a problem with it. It would be cool if Frost decided to take the Choctaw line of knives and throw it in the Hen and Rooster and bring out something that's a little bit better quality. That would be kind of cool. I would probably buy one at a much higher price if they were made in one of his better line of knives. But in the Steel Warrior line, this is probably it for me. About the only handle material that would make me change my mind would probably be if he came out in the crocodile bone with it. I would, if he came out in the brown crocodile bone with the Choctaw, then I would probably pick one up because, well, I like this bone, and he's the only one that does that bone. Most of the bone jigging that Frost does, I really don't care too much for, but I did like their crocodile bone. So that would be one of the only reasons I would probably pick up another Choctaw in either size. But otherwise, let's face it, it's a pattern that if you like this pattern and you really want it, I would say go ahead and pick it up. The build quality is okay, especially when it comes to functioning. That blade is really tight. The lock is very strong. It feels decent enough in the hand. I feel like the lock is not going to fail on me. The blade is definitely tight. It is 440A, so their 440A is right up there with, well, I wouldn't know if it's right up there with Rough Rider, but it is a 440A stainless steel. It is 56 to 58 Rockwell tested. But don't expect the fit and finish of the handle and stuff to be the same as what you get on a Rough Rider. I guess that's what I would say. And yeah, you will be paying a little bit more than you would on a Rough Rider, but then Rough Rider does not make a Choctaw. This is the only place you're going to find it. So if this is a knife that you're interested in, yeah, Jim Frost is it. Steel Warrior is it. It would be great if he would just think about doing it in something like the Hen and Rooster line and give people who are looking for something a little bit better in quality and who's willing to pay a little bit more, then they could possibly pick up Choctaw in the Hen and Rooster. That would be my advice to Jim Frost. Expand this into a better line of knives, and he might find that it could become very popular. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you for visiting Knife Chats. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so that you will be notified when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. See you soon.